So a franchise that I've wanted to discuss on this channel for quite a while, and I just have never gotten around to it because there's 1,000 of these like random franchises that most people don't even know exist, and are these franchises that were pretty popular in the 80s especially, and these are franchise entries in name only.
Right.
Where you
Yeah.
have like no connective tissue.
It reminds me of the Ghoulies, kind of how there's a little bit of connective tissue, but they feel like separate movies to me.
It's nothing like that.
Oh, but not like
It's nothing like
not
that.
like the
There's ghoulies in every movie.
yeah.
That's
Oh, I
that's
see what you're
that's
saying. I
not
see what you're saying.
that's
So
she's
it's literally
she doesn't know
just
what she's talking about.
sorry.
I,
Well, no, I thought like because I mean like like what you just said, like that there's the name only, but I guess that
this one's about like a meteor hitting
yes.
and that infecting the land and the people and the crops. The next one's about snakes.
Oh, okay.
So
I see
literally
what you mean. I see
nothing
what you mean.
connected at all in the slightest. They're
Okay.
literally in name only.
Yeah. Okay.
No connective tissue.
Gotcha.
They just
use the same name.
Yes, these kinds of franchises are super interesting to me because they're movies that get made and a studio doesn't really know what to do with them. They have these, titles that they have the rights to, and they say, well, fuck it. We can just say it's part 2 of this. Even though, because even with something like Silent Night, Deadly Night, while there is no connective tissue after part 3 with part 4 and part 5, The Toy Maker and The Invitation, you have the only connective tissue is that they're set on Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? But there's no mention of this stuff from before. There's no connection. But with these, from my memory, it's been a little while, but there is no connection of any sort. Like zero connection, zero character, zero, anything. It's just they're two completely different films that just have the titles together for some reason.
Yeah.
So it's a marketing scheme. Right?
It's such a silly marketing scheme too, because it's like
people are gonna go
wanting
into
to
it.
see something similar, and you're like, "There's nothing similar."
Well, you can have something like the House series, right? You have the first House with Roger Cobb, and his son goes missing in a house, and he goes and tries to get it back, right? And then the second one, the second story, cute little double entendre. They deal with a guy who inherits a house, and this house has a legend of this skull that keeps over, blah blah blah, right? But the connective tissue is there's a house,
yeah,
but there's no connection to the first movie. But it's like, oh, we're telling stories about houses.
Yeah.
Now in the third one, this is like a guy. It's literally almost exactly the same movie as Shocker, where somebody comes back through like electricity. It has nothing to do with houses. So that one is completely random. And then the fourth one does connect to the first one, but like completely ignores the events of the first one, but puts Roger Cobb's character back into it. It's weird. These weird franchises are always super interesting to me. So anyway, The Curse. Let's talk about the first movie.
Yes.
This is available on good old Tubi.
Good old Tubi.
And this stars Will Wheaton.
Yes.
And I saw this, but it's been a long time, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't take any notes. We've been winging movies as of late. We haven't been making almost any reviews. Yeah. We've been watching what we've been watching, but unfortunately hasn't been much. Just haven't had the time. But this one was just fun.
It was super fun.
And silly as hell. And gross.
Yeah. Really gross.
And Kayla was pretty scared by it at times, which was pretty funny. But she always gets like that.
It's funny because there's a handful, of these kind of like 80s B movie, films that end up freaking me out a little bit. And even though I know they're silly and it's like not really supposed to be scary, I don't know. There was just a few things in this one that definitely like freaked me out.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's like a fun, campy film. Like it's really campy.
Yeah.
And we were just having such a great time commenting on like characters and like the dialogue. Like there's this one really sexist character that's just the worst ever. And we we're having a lot of fun like making fun of him, and yeah. It was good. It was honestly like a good movie, like for what it is.
Yeah.
Not like a good movie like cinema, but a fun film.
Yeah, sometimes you're on a farm and something falls out of the sky and it's Superman, and you raise it and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then other times it falls out of the sky and it's a contaminant.
Yeah.
This is a pretty common trope.
Yes. Alien contamination
in horror, where a meteor hits, whether it's in Creepshow with Jody Verrill. And he turns into like a grass man.
Doesn't it happen in Men in Black too, in the first one, kind of?
Yeah. That's how Edgar.
Yeah, Edgar. Yeah. Worst ever.
Yeah.
So gross.
Yeah, the unidentified object landing in your farm yard trope is definitely pretty prominent.
I'm a fan of
over the years and years of storytelling. But
I'm a fan of it.
This one, much like the other one, now when this one lands, it's massive and it looks like a giant testicle.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
on purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say symbolic, but
yeah.
I also found that there was like some ecological aspects to the horror in this because of the contamination of like crops.
We're screwing up the water. We're screwing up the food. We laugh pretty good at the opening because there's this guy who's like screaming, "It's in the water! Don't drink the water! Don't get in the water! It's in the water!" And then he's like getting arrested, and they put him on the back of the squad car, and he's driving him down the street, and like every water activity imaginable is happening as he's driving by. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Basketball.
Yeah.
He's like, "Jenna, oh," and he's like watching the roadkill videos, and it just keeps getting worse. And then one like drinking out of the hose.
Oh my god. It was really great timing because it like progressed. It's like somebody washing a car, kids playing in sprinklers, and then there's just a woman like with the hose in her mouth,
fucking guzzling it like it's a 40.
It was really funny.
She was like shotgunning a hose.
It was super funny, but yeah, I think this is a fun film. I had a good time, and I am kind of sad that it doesn't continue into the next one in a way.
This storyline.
Well, yeah, I guess. Like, I think you can do a lot with
absolutely.
That, right?
This could absolutely be like a sequel would be great to this for sure. We haven't talked about the family. So we got Will Wheaton. He's got his mom who marries a new man.
She does.
His mom is probably in her, I don't know, 40s, maybe late 40s, and she marries like Farmer John, who's like not attractive.
No.
He's a terrible guy.
Yeah.
He's like 65 years old. He has the most shitty, awful son.
Oh my god.
Who's from Christine.
Yeah. He's one of the bullies in Christine.
Yeah. And he wears like a half shirt, but he's fat.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny.
He's got the 80s.
And he bullies the shit out of Will Wheaton throughout the film. The dad is just like the Bible thumping asshole. He won't sleep with his wife, and he's like, she tries to make an advancement on him after like putting on her makeup and spraying perfume on, and she tries to get in bed and then like touch on him, and he's like, it's improper for a woman to like come on to a man.
So
like
awful.
When I want it, I'll come and get it, basically. Like the man always makes the move, and then she goes out and fucks the like help because she's so horny.
Yeah, she's super horny.
And this guy has like more hair on his body
than
his Chewbacca.
Back, dude. I was like,
and he's supposed to be like the strapping,
like
sexy like
hand.
gardener,
yeah,
guy who like the
he
pool guy basically.
He wasn't ugly or anything. Like it was just funny because but like when you have like such an asshole husband, like any person that's like gonna
you'll go to bed with Bigfoot.
Hell yeah. Yeah, her husband sucks so much. Like he definitely was the character. I mean, that's the one I was referencing earlier about like the sexist character, because there's just so many moments throughout the film that he's just like an asshole to her, to everyone. He's in denial, and it was like just annoying.
It's interesting because he's very obviously aware that she has an affair, but he doesn't do what you expect him to do by like reacting to it in a way where he like kills the guy and beats her and all that. He just kind of like is very passive aggressive from that point. But there's kind of honestly there is a bit of a mixed messaging going on in this movie to a degree, because the curse does happen when she like involves herself in infidelity. Right. Yeah. As soon as she's like having sex with someone outside of her marriage, and she's being an infidel, that's when like the curse takes hold, and it's almost like she's being punished by God, because this movie has a lot of like focus and emphasis on like being a good Christian and religious, but they also kind of like play that like it's terrible. But I think they like do it in a way where like they're setting it up to where you as the audience member go, okay, I know it's this, but he's gonna think it's that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. Yeah. I think that the name The Curse is kind of not the best for the film, because it's like when you think of a curse, you think of like something magical happening, and this is like extraterrestrial.
But I like it because he thinks
he's interpreting it as a curse.
Correct.
Yeah. I guess it works that way, but
it is a curse. It's just not a curse in the traditional sense, but it is 100% a curse. Yeah. Like my anxiety disorder is a curse to me.
Sure.
But it's not a magical curse. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
That's an ex-girlfriend fucking
witches.
Maybe.
Ruh-roh.
I mean the girlfriend I was with.
Yeah.
When I started my panic anxiety disorder was Wiccan. Oh. So she could have cursed me.
Well, normally
they're not that.
Normally Wiccans don't do that, because it's like it's like what you send out comes back to you.
Well, her life is horrible.
Oh shit.
She had a kid with like a heart condition, and her husband like abuses her, and she has like 5 kids with him, and she can't leave, and her whole life. I've kept up with her through her sister over the years, and her life is horrendous. So maybe she did. She did it,
because it's threefold. That's like the Wiccan rule of 3. Is like whatever you send out comes back to you threefold.
Oh, I know. I've seen Book of Shadows, Blair Witch too.
You point 1 finger out, and 3 come back to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why you got to point like this.
Yeah.
Like this.
You're just like
all 10 to you.
Yeah. Well.
There's the real curse.
It's not a curse.
Here's the real curse. What do you got to say, little man?
Oh man.
You didn't bark? That was good.
No, you're doing good.
That was good. Here, you can stay right there. So, yeah. As far as like the doctor character and like all the, I don't know, the side stuff is entertaining enough. I don't really feel like it goes anywhere exactly, and the main focus is on the family. But I found a lot of that stuff, and if I took notes, we'd get into so many like little goofy specific moments. I noticed 100 different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
While we were watching the movie. But we also realized that when I take notes, these videos become like an hour and a half. And some of you love that for sure, but like, man, it takes our whole day.
It does, and we really try to balance the channel with other things, and it's gotten a lot harder since we've moved. And
it is.
We just appreciate everybody that sticks around and watches and hangs out, and yeah.
Yeah.
But we have fun talking about these films. And I kind of like when we do off the cuff type of things, like when we do like spoiler, like in-depth discussions, like our Slasher Sundays and everything, like then it's really helpful for us to have notes and like go through every little thing. But yeah, I like our just kind of hang out, talk about a movie videos that we do.
Yeah, bullshit videos.
Yeah.
Trying to remember any other, like, I thought that the effects in here were nasty.
Yeah, they were gross.
The mom kind of becomes like a bog witch. Mm-hmm. She looks like, something out of Army of Darkness.
She does.
She like turns, like the, when Ash is in Army of Darkness, when he fights that witch, maybe halfway into the movie after he crawls out of that bog, and they're like, trying to help him. And then that woman like turns around and is like a witch and comes up in the air. Chick. Yeah. She kind of looked like that.
She does, yeah.
So I thought her progression, because she starts with like a mole that like starts to be gross and then they're very oozy.
It's a lot of ooze, a lot of green ooziness, and it was gross. It was real gross. There's stuff with food that was icky.
I thought that, cutting up the crops and finding all the worms and everything inside, and then she's like, harvesting the bountiful crops. She brings home all these like tomatoes, and they look so wonderful, and then she cuts into them, and they're disgusting and
so nasty.
And and the lettuce, and she's like so disgusting inside. So
that's great.
So that's traditionally like how curses were. Right? Like when your land gets cursed, the crops
absolutely
are gross and tainted. And I thought that stuff was cool, very biblical in that way. And the effects like on the house and all that stuff in the end, as it's kind of like falling apart and eventually like exploding and all that stuff. I think they did a good amount with the limited budget they clearly had, and I think everyone plays their parts pretty well for how like hammy things are. I think this has a perfect blend, and this is why these kinds of movies are like impossible to replicate.
Oh, sure.
Because they're just like, they're not intentional.
No, it's just like a perfect combination of like
cheese and seriousness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it is really hard to manufacture that. So there's a charm to this one. Definitely if you're a fan of campy 80s movies and
no, it's just
it's a recommendation.
For sure. Yeah. And it's on Tubi. The Curse 2, The Bite, is on YouTube and HD, as well as the third one. So those we have access to as well. And then I own part 4 on VHS. So I haven't looked for it because I own it. We might just watch it on VHS. But they did put 1 and 2 on Blu-ray in a double pack. And I would pick that up if I could find it for a decent price. I'm looking forward to part 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen part 3 for sure. I definitely saw 4, and 2 I'm unsure of. I think I might have saw it, but it deals with snakes, and I've heard about some scenes that seem really cool, and I'm looking forward to it. So we'll talk about those. So you have that to look forward to, and trust us, we're trying to get to Slasher Sunday, Monster Monday, but
we are.
And I can't seem to force myself to want to watch Jason Goes to Hell again, and I really just don't have the desire to watch it or talk about it. And this is what happened. This is why I originally got rid of Patreon, and because I hated. I think I got to.
Be funny.
It might have been Jason Goes to Hell,
and you're like,
and I was just like, I'm out. I hate this movie so much, and I never have any interest in talking about it and sitting through it again, and then doing like an hour plus discussion on it when we have such limited time. It's like I just genuinely can't get.
Maybe we'll just skip it.
Maybe we'll just stop there because we did the original 8. Which is like what people really cared about.
That's true, and then we can go on.
We can come back to them again, but I am still looking forward to very much continuing the Dracula movies.
Oh, for sure, we're having a lot of fun with those.
Yeah,
those are cool.
Maybe we'll get to that this week.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right, guys. Check it out.
Yes.
Let us know. Bye.
Bye.